So hi, and welcome to all of you as well, and welcome to all of you in the room here. Of course, you will get all content afterwards in the email, slides, and everything. So you don't need to take any photos. You will get everything. So let's kick it off.
Yeah.
And Johan, tell us a bit more what you do at Keywording.
So yeah, like I do these events and like present with you as well, and we also have a pod together with full funnel. But like mainly I charge of our paid social clients and yeah, strategy for that, and also maintaining the what do you call it, like the work.
Yes, and I also work with all of the events that we do, the podcast that I hope some of you have listened to some of the episodes. We're gonna share a couple of links that I think would be interesting for if you want to do more deep dives later. The latest one we had with Jorge from Flippa about last year was there's a lot of good discussions on how to work with creative teams. So if you haven't listened to that, I really recommend to tune in on that on Spotify as well. But like let's see here. So we're doing a lot of events. So here are some of the images from last year. Johan, the weather was a bit better when we were on the roof on Enco, right?
Yeah.
The paddle event.
Yeah, we had one at the Ascaro. It was very sunny, nice. Also one in Brohof. Maybe someone is coming this year as well. Maybe you'll see a little bit later today.
Yeah. And we try to do them. We try really to take all the insights that we have and we try to package them and share them here in this type of context. So, follow up and join us on our events. And when it comes to the podcast that we started last year, I think that has also been great for us because it's sort of a more discussion forum. So I also recommend you to not only listen here, but also share more of your thoughts and comments. If you want to have new subjects in the future, share them. If you want to join as a guest, if you have something that you think is really interesting to share, reach out to me and Johan, and we look forward to schedule a slot for an episode together with you as well. Do you have any of your favorite episodes that you would like to point extra to?
No, like the one with Cork was really good and interesting, learning from like their strategy, but also with Sophia from Stronger, like how they work and how to build a team, and also like multimedia attribution. It was very interesting, and of course the ones we do, just you and me as well.
Yeah.
Quite a few of them as well.
Yeah. But definitely, if you're thinking a lot about measurement and attribution right now, you should tune in on the discussion with Stronger, because that was a deep dive on attribution. So what will this year look like? This is my son, Otto. He's 7 years old, and I think in the future, it will be very important to be able to code. So I was thinking about how can I get him to be interested in coding? So I built an AI agent that is just for him. And then he and I used that to build a Pokemon game. And I am not a developer, but I managed to code this website that is a Pokemon game for him. So I was a bit like, okay, will he be more interested now or not? I got him actually to sit down for 2 hours straight, writing specifications and feature requests for this game. I have never seen him so interested ever. So that was really cool. And so now we actually sit together and code this, him and I, together with the AI agent that we have built. And I mean, that's just the sort of the superpower to be able to do things that you're not able to do yourself, and also how you can engage with people to be really interested. So I think this is what we will see a lot more in the future, and I will need to build a lot more Pokemon games in the future as well. So when it comes to AI, of course, everybody speaks about it right now, and I expect everyone here to if you're not already using the free version or the paid version of GPT, Gemini, from Llama, from Meta, of course you should do that. But that is not saying that you have implemented AI in your company. And the way you should look at it is like, how much do you invest in humans? You should definitely make sure that you invest at least 10% of that into AI, because otherwise you will be far behind. And there's actually a quite big study that was released a year ago that shows that we are right now in Sweden behind in terms of adoption when it comes to generative AI in Sweden. And I think that is something that will be a challenge for us in the future if we are lacking too far behind. And if you haven't read it, Carlo, you shared a really good study from BCG, and I think the main conclusions on the study that they have done is really what I try to exemplify with Otto here, is that you can get really domain-specific skills, even if you're not a specialist yourself or if you're not a developer. And that is something that can be very valuable. It's not only about saving time or doing things, it's also getting skills that actually you don't have. It will take me a lot of time to be able to write this Pokemon game myself, first line, learn everything in terms of building the code, building it in React. But I was able to do that super fast, right? So it's a really packed agenda for today, Johan.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to go through the most important channels, and then we're going to wrap up with more details on generative AI and what we think in the future.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, we take those afterwards at the after work with a mingle. So yeah.
Yeah. So here, you can take it.
Thanks.
What we do at Keywordio, we work with everything from paid search, paid social, creatives, marketing automation, and we build AI agents for our customers. And not only agents, but we're actually building programs to help management team, how they should think about this, how they should plan, and how they should be educated as well. So that's what we're doing in terms of our services. And like I said, we build on top of these big LLM models that is out there. We use Gemini because it's good on some things. We use Llama because it's good on other things. We use everything from OpenAI. And like with everything, you need to define what the problem is and then work on finding the solution. So that's how we work with it. And when it comes to marketing, of course, we work with all the big platforms. And of course, TikTok, Meta, and Google are three of the really important channels for most of our clients. But Pinterest, we have a little surprise in the end, Johan, that you're going to talk more about, right?
Exactly. Unfortunately, it's only for the people in the room, but so, yeah. Too bad you didn't join in person.
Great. And right now, we have actually managed more than 1 billion SEK in ad spend on all the platforms that we are managing. And of course, that's a lot of money. And of course, there comes with a lot of learnings in terms of what is working and what is not working. And those are some of the insights that we will share today.
Yes, we also work as an agency, as you described. But yeah.
And the type of clients, we work with everything from small startups to global brands, B2B, D2C, big assortment, smaller assortments. But these are the types of challenges that we typically work with.
Yeah. And a fun, actually, little case that we just found out when we were in Gothenburg a couple of days ago. So we work with Sail Racing, it's one of our clients. And we started working with them last year. And we kind of developed a full funnel strategy for them. And with that strategy on all channels, basically, we managed to grow their online sales by 27% last year. So I think they're quite happy with that. So we also. So it was a fun goal. And this year, hopefully even better with new markets, etc. So yeah, that's a fun case from Sail Racing. But let's jump into the platforms, what we actually learned during last year. And I will actually start with a little bit about the platforms, people get a bit better understanding what they do. So Pinterest is a visual like discovery engine. So I would say somewhere between Google and like Meta, because it's not like Facebook or like TikTok, you're scrolling and you get inspiration. You actually go there for a reason. You maybe want to redesign your kitchen or find a perfect outfit. So it's an engine where you actually discover things. And yeah, it's quite a few people on Pinterest, like 445 million, not as many as Meta, of course, but it's still quite a lot of people that use Pinterest. And in Sweden, it's also quite large. And they also are very open-minded when they are coming to the platform because they're actually searching for things and get inspiration. So if I like want to decor my home or plan a wedding or something like that, I'm very open-minded and to take in what I receive basically on my search. And this is like the biggest categories on Pinterest. So if you're one of them, I highly recommend that you should try it if you're not doing it already. But something what we learned during last year on the platform. So Pinterest have like some really good feature that you can like target keywords of people searching, interest-based. But they also introduced something new last year, which is called Performance Plus. And it's kind of like putting both retargeting and prospecting and kind of like a black box of targeting. So you don't really know unless you have like a, we'll call it agency contacts or like account manager at Pinterest, what actually the findings are on that campaign. But we've seen the uplift in performance, yeah, over like 100% increase in performance, which is a really good one. And it have it both for consideration, for conversions, and also catalog sale, which is a few of the options they have. So if you haven't tried it before, that is like the new campaign on Pinterest that we really seen work. And it's fun that all the platforms are coming with new solutions that is really working well. So it's quite good. And then the like more visual platform or TikTok, the entertainment platform. If you don't know, like on TikTok, it is a quite big like platform for e-commerce these days. Like we were in Gothenburg as well, like with Nelly, and it's a quite big platform for them. Okay. We have quite other clients as well that use it quite often. But yeah, 73 of all purchases on TikTok are unplanned, and I can kind of be happen to me as well. Like, oh, you saw something that you needed that was kind of funny, like, oh, maybe I need this, and then yeah, so you bought it. So it's a quite good platform for unplanned purchases. And I think what most people do wrong with TikTok, they think it's the same as Meta. So they do the same strategy on TikTok as they do on Meta. They also think as long as I have enough conversions on my website, it should be fine to run. But it's a little bit more tricky than that because you actually need 50 conversions on TikTok a week for it to work. And like, so if you don't have like 50 purchases a week, it will be a bit difficult on the platform. But with a full funnel strategy, that can help to build up enough data. And then you might ask, how much money do you actually need for TikTok? So if you know a rough, what is your acceptable CPA, for example, purchase, or if it's add to cart, or if it's view content, I would say if it's purchase, take the CPA times 10, then you have a good rough daily budget, and the other events can be around 25x. So it's do that when you calculate your budget and see if you have enough budget to actually run it successfully. Of course, sometimes it might work with a lower budget, but it's like recommended what you see in like the optimal performance. But then also TikTok have a new feature that came out, I think it was like Q3 or Q4 last year. I think I started beta testing it during Q2. And it was quite funny. Like we kind of went rogue and tested it for one of our clients in Norway. And they were like, what's happening in Norway? It's result is just staggering. And I was like, oh yeah, I actually launched a new campaign there that's kind of a test. Like, can we launch it in the other markets as well? And yeah, we did. And it's been working really well. And the good thing with that is similar to like Google's like PMax and like advanced shopping on Meta as well. But it's targeting both prospect and retargeting. But the good thing is also, instead of you selecting a few creatives, you select a lot of creatives, both like Spark ads, but also ads that you upload, and you put one URL in, and they will scrape your site and basically put them on the right landing page that is performing the best. So yeah, we have seen better performance, like better operation efficiency, and also like the creative made it very easy. So Smart Plus, if you think it's not 100% rolled out yet, but it's something that's really worked and like upskilled a lot of our clients that didn't maybe have the biggest budget on TikTok and were maybe struggling a bit. This has really helped them get over the top to see it as a really good performance platform instead of just a branding platform. So yeah, if you haven't tried it, you can ask questions afterwards as well, how to set it up and how more in detail. But that is something that's really worked well last year. And also another finding we did with TikTok is if you work really close with your team, especially the social team, like that are managing the comments, you can actually recreate content based on that, and also even products. So we had a couple of clients that actually created products that were based on requests on comments on TikTok. So this is an example, and this ad also went really well. So we actually recreated another version of this that we got more comments on. But yeah, here's one version.
I'm not a maybe. I'm the one.
So very short, quite easy. These took like behind the scenes from the photo shoot of the new product that people requested. So yeah, it was quite fast to turn around in the production, and that one had been working really well. So it's
working extremely well.
Yeah. So work very close with your like social team to create content, and I think that will be a very good collab for your team. So, and then to Google Ads, what we learned.
Yes. So we can take the next slide. So Performance Max, I guess everyone who's SEM specialists work, of course, a lot with Performance Max. And what we see is extremely important, that you need to start with understanding your assortment very well. And that goes with, for example, in this plot here, we have, for example, a very high level understanding of how are you pricing your products on the y-axis, and then what's your return on ad spend. Could be profit on ad spend as well. And then based on this, you can segment your products in a smart way. Should they be separate in separate PMAX campaigns? Of course, that's about how you working with a large assortment. But all companies with large number of SKUs, you need to be very smart with this. So this is really core how to start in terms of the segmentation. Because like the B segment here, you have a lower price point than everyone else on the market, but you have a really bad return on investment on those products. So there is something in the B segment in this image that makes this a problem. So it seems like the customers doesn't trust that you can sell this product in a good way. Is it because they don't trust your brand when it comes to that? Is it because the experience on the website is bad? Do you have problems with stock levels? What's the problem there? Because that needs to be sorted. Maybe the B segment should be completely killed. And these kind of insights, that's very important, because the algorithms themselves, they need help to understand part of this. So
problem of these are the discounted product that we don't sell it. But then it's not like they will sell if you market them.
Exactly. So for you who listen in, the comment is like, if you have discounted product that's still you have an issue that they are not selling, then of course you need to pick that up and take an active decision. Should we stop spending on these and spend the money elsewhere? And this is extremely important, so you don't go continuously just letting the PMAX run on its own. So we can take the next one. Then it comes to understanding your placements. And of course, Performance Max has a lot of different placements. Most of us want to make sure this ends up in the Google Shopping placement, but you also get a lot of display, you get search, you get a lot of other things. You need to work actively together with Google to limit the other types of placements if they don't perform. And of course, if you're a brand that really lives on making sure that your products are positioned in the right way, then you need to actually work really hard to actually try to remove these kind of placement that you don't think represent your brand in a good way. This is very hard to minimize completely, but it's something you need to work continuously on. And this actually goes with all the new features coming, even on Meta, for example, rolling out a lot of new features when it comes to creatives and AI. You need to be on top of those things. Some of them is very annoying because you can get auto-enrolled in them and the ads doesn't look good. So need to be on top of what placements you end up using, so it looks exactly like you want your brand to be presented. And then this is a screen from our own software, AdHelp. So we have built AdHelp just to be making sure that we can really get the maximum out of Performance Max. So for example, here, we can actually see how much of the performance PMax campaigns actually allocates to display, to search. And then we can, of course, work with minimizing the display ads, but having an eye on how much is allocated to these placements is a very important thing. So you don't end up, because you cannot see this in the interface in Google Ads. So you need to keep an eye on this and do this analysis continuously. So you're taking away those placements as good as you can.
Yeah.
And when it comes to Performance Max, of course, feed management is extremely important. We don't have time to dig deeper on that. So that's why I recommend to listen to the podcast episode. That was a deep dive in feed management and our tool that we have developed for this, that is called adhelp.io. It's really built to be able to manage these big, complex PMax campaigns and other catalog and feed-based campaigns.
Yeah. And then to summarize Meta, what we learned last year, but firstly, I think on Meta, the number one way to succeed is to have the tracking on point. And I think if you don't have conversion API on Meta, yeah, it's quite boring. But that's something you need to have now. I say, like last year was is really good to have, but now it's need to have. So if you don't have it implemented, then you should really ask your developer to start working on it, because basically, if you don't have it, you lose 2/3 of the events on all steps of the funnel. So basically, if you have like 50 conversions on like purchases, you actually might lose out on 2/3. So if you're in a smaller budget, you don't have enough, or if you're in an even large budget with more expensive products, it gets like crucial to have it. But also you can do the math. If you're paying per click and you lose out 2/3 of all the traffic that lands on your landing page, your retargeting audience is going to be very small and limited. So you're basically wasting money on all steps of the funnel if you don't have it. So I say the number one most important thing is have the tracking correct and the server-side tagging set up.
So we see some really big companies doesn't have this.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So it's we keep talking about this on every event we do, but it's definitely not solved.
Yeah, and also it's great to connect your CRM system like Klaviyo or Voyado or Emrys or whatever you might have. That's also like another like data point into the platforms and at least Meta, and that you can like build audiences. And I think that is coming to like the CRM systems is really important now, especially with the engaged audience on the advanced shopping, which is kind of another way to figure out how much you like retarget and also like the customers. So it's really important to have the CRM system connected to the platforms as well.
I mean, this is general, like this is for all platforms.
Yeah,
it's for the same technology works for LinkedIn, it works for Snap. I mean, it's extremely important to have a server-side setup for all platforms and actually make sure you do that, because otherwise you will lose out on events and that would be very costly for you.
Yeah. And another thing that we learned that it's really important that you test new creatives and you mix out, so you don't have only like dynamic product ad, which is most of the time actually converting pretty well. But we've seen when we mixed it out, like with videos, images, carousels, we actually seen like a 36% decrease in CPMs, which have generated like 66% more impressions. So if you mix out the creatives and also the step over the funnel, and that kind of takes to the next step, which is like, if you're only running performance ad or kind of like focus on the conversion, you might see like an increase in revenue or like quite stable. But we've seen if we're adding like branding on top of that, you basically more than double the result with the same budget. So you're not like increasing the budget for awareness or branding, you're actually like keeping the same, but just kind of allocating slightly different. And we've seen like a major uplift in result by doing so. So
The difference with performance and web.
yeah, campaign objectives. So it's like we used on Meta the awareness campaign objective because like basically, I don't have the slide with me, but like a good example is the performance one are reaching people that already convert now. But if you have like a product that someone might need in a year or 6 months or 3 months, they will not see the performance ads, but they will see the branding ads and that will put them with a lower CPM, so they're not as expensive to reach. And when the time comes, they are aware of your brand, and then they will start seeing the conversion ads. So it's it's a quite fun like visual that Meta showed us, like a lot of dots in one basket that is quite low in CPM, but also in the purchase power. But then the more purchase power, the more expensive they will be to reach. I wouldn't use that. Then maybe we swap to like a conversion campaign with like a custom metric of like can be view content or add to cart or a certain amount of time on site. So we use that more as a consideration. Yeah, exactly. So
limit the frequency on the ads also.
well, I think I experiment both with frequency, but also video ads if you have videos, because then it's great to get kind of validate how like the videos are, and because if they're running pretty well, that people keep watching the videos, it's a great like checkpoint that you made a great video that people want to watch. So yeah, a good mix of both, I say. So yeah, basically it's mix a lot of types of ads, the more the merrier, and you can do like a lot of A/B tests and run more tests is good, because then you will be smarter in your advertising and the result will increase. But another test that we done, so advantage shopping is, I guess, Meta's like fairly new, I say, like campaign type. And we did a test in December for a certain client, and we had like a conversion ad, same ads, same budget, same targeting, same audience. But the only difference was one is advantage shopping campaign, the other one was a conversion campaign. An advantage shopping campaign actually turned out to have 3.5 times or 4 times more purchases, and almost 7 times the ROAS of the conversion campaign. And that's kind of same. And that's also the other one campaign was grouped up for both retargeting and prospecting. So that was a really interesting finding, what we found for this particular client. And we've seen similar results for the majority of the clients we have run the test. So it's a really like interesting example. And of course, if you're running a lot of tests, you shouldn't exclude the advantage shopping campaign. If you can still have them as like the conversion campaign as testing like platforms or like test new things, because the limitations of the advantage shopping is very limited, and it's also quite complicated to set up right, because as Jonas said, if Meta rolls out a new AI function, you will most likely be automatically enrolled. And if you're like your own brand, it will not look so good most of the time. So I think keep your eyes open quickly, and if something new comes, not even like the account manager at Meta knows about it, and I was like, send them a text, hey, can you exclude us? Like, oh, is this new? So yeah, it's even too fast for the people who work at Meta to see them. They just kind of rolls out without even asking anyone. So if you see something very strange, most of the time it's a new feature on Meta, and just tell you, you can turn it off most of the time. So it's quite good. That's a good learning to keep an eye. Another thing that we also learned is the engaged audience and current audience on the advantage shopping campaign. Kind of experimenting of how much budget you actually spend to your current customers on the advantage shopping. I know quite a few have it like wide open, or some have it like completely closed. But working with like CRM system, you can create even more better audiences that you can like focus on the targeting of your campaign, because it's quite limited of how you can target basically.
Yeah, the question you can ask yourself, like when in your media mix, is it one click away for everyone in the team to know how much do we invest in new clients? and how much are we actually allocating to retargeting. If everyone knows that in the team, then you can start working on it. I would say very few teams actually know this easy, but it is super important that you really are on top of how much do you spend from the media mix trying to reach the new customers.
Yeah.
Yes. No, that's you don't get no, yeah, that's for Meta. It's that specific one is a setting, but then you need to have a data pipeline behind. So you're actually estimating, at least from the Advantage Shopping campaign, how much is going towards new. So like you said, it's actually not so easy to. Well, everything is easy when you know how to do it, but you need to actually spend some time thinking about this. And if you have multiple countries, you have quite big budgets, you have multiple channels, it's actually not so easy to answer directly.
Yeah. And another learning that we also did was kind of sad for quite a few companies, but also the dynamic product ads in the Advantage Shopping campaigns tend to work most of the time the best, because the users have lots of options to kind of scroll through the items that might be interested in them. But we've seen, and of course you want to show your normal ads that you have like spent money and time to bring forward and create. But we've seen most of the time the dynamic product ads actually take up the majority of the budget, unless the other creative is really, really good. Then it will always win against the DPA. So it's kind of direct feedback to your creative team. If your normal creatives are winning against your dynamic product ads, then it's a good creative. If it's not, sadly, it's not good enough for your audience. So it's kind of that good way to test out, see if your creatives is good enough, yeah, to compete with the dynamic product ads. And quite sad, but it's kind of how it is. So you get direct feedback if your creatives are working or not. So that's something I think is really important to bring back after today, like with your creative team too. Is your DPAs outperforming or not? And yeah, of course, sometimes you don't have the resources to do that, but or create great like creatives, but at least it's worth a try. And then for AI, Jonas.
Yes. Should we switch seats?
Yeah. So I can stand.
So like I mentioned, I expect everyone. Actually, how many people use some kind of generative AI daily? How many build AI agents?
Just begin.
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah. But I mean, that's the whole point. I think that when I look at what will happen this year, so the cost for intelligence will go down dramatically. We had a really interesting discussion. DeepSeek is just released. It looks like it's performing on par with the latest one from OpenAI o1 for a significant lower amount of cost. So the cost per token on smart things from AI will go down dramatically. So what will that mean? That will mean that we will do a lot more smarter things. They will go faster. And I think that in the future, like I said, you need to spend 10% of what you spend on humans. You should at least spend 10% on building AI for the company and team that you're working on, for sure. And I mean, it's more than 240 million weekly active users on OpenAI today. It's, of course, growing super fast, and there are new releases coming continuously. So another thing that also will be very big is that computer use, and all the big AI labs today, they're working on releasing what is called computer use. So this is actually where you let the AI, could be an AI agent, actually use your own browser. And it can actually do things for you. And we will see some of the examples. So it's coming in, you can already play around with part of this technology in Gemini 2. You already have a part of it. This is from the desktop app, for example. So this is an agent that we have built for Keywordio, but you already have it down in the share screen, take a photo, or share your screen. So when you're actually sitting and working, you can actually have the AI see your screen directly, and it can both interactively do things for you on the screen, or it can read things and help you with it. So the acceleration of investments in AI is extreme. And well, you can say like, yeah, there was a lot of talks about crypto, for example. Yes, but I can tell you that these companies, they didn't spend 52.9 billion US dollar in a quarter on crypto, for example. So the way they are increasing the amount of spend to really be on top of this is extreme. And of course, this is one of the reasons why NVIDIA's stock is going like crazy, because there's a lot of people buying chips from them, right? But this is not the end. This is just the beginning of what we will see. And there will be a lot more features coming. And Llama's latest model is really interesting, and they will release their 4.0 really soon. So I'm really excited to see how that can be used. And let's see.
Okay.
Oh. So how many have heard about Project Astra?
Okay, let's do some tests. Tell me when you see something that makes sound.
I see a speaker, which makes sound.
What is that part of the speaker called?
That is the tweeter. It produces high-frequency sounds.
Give me a creative alliteration about these.
Creative crayons color cheerfully. They certainly craft colorful creations.
What does that part of the code do?
This code defines encryption and decryption functions. It seems to use AES-CBC encryption to encode and decode data based on a key and an initialization vector, IV.
That's right. What neighborhood do you think I'm in?
This appears to be the King's Cross area of London. It is known for its railway station and transportation connections.
Do you remember where you saw my glasses?
Yes, I do. Your glasses were on the desk near a red apple.
What can I add here to make this system faster?
Adding a cache between the server and database could improve speed.
What does this remind you of?
Schrodinger's cat.
All right, give me a band name for this duo.
Golden Stripes.
Nice. Thanks, Gemini.
So, I mean, this is what I mean with it's going to be, I think, just because OpenAI launched a chat interface as the first thing that came out, everybody believes AI means that it needs to be a chat interface. I am very confident that it will not be that. There will be a lot of different interfaces. So one example that we have built an AI agent for one of our customers. And this one is actually straight connected into the CMS for their ecom platform. So every time somebody creates a new blog, that pulls the whole HTML code for that blog. It don't touch the code at all, but it translates everything, and it feeds that straight back into the CMS. So all the pages will be just directly translated as they were developed from the beginning, based on this AI agent that is custom made for this client. So it's a really good, it knows the client better than themselves. It knows their tone of voice, and it gets the data done. There's no interface, there's no human, there's no chat interface. So there's going to be a lot of different interfaces to these things. Some will be pure backend, and some of them will be more visuals, where you share your screen, where you have glasses. we're going to see a lot more of this coming out. And also with what I mentioned, with the cost for token going down, then you can do a lot more of these things. Because of course, it's very costly to run something on video, always looking for something in the video. But if the cost goes down, you can do a lot more of this. And then I want to show you another demo. Like I said, all big AI labs have small releases, tests, or demos on this now, which is the computer use. And this is Mariner from Google.
Click.
Today, I want to tell you about Project Mariner. It's a research prototype exploring the future of human-agent interaction, and it's built on Gemini 2.0. Like with all new technology, it's important for us to build this responsibly, which is why we're starting small. We'll be getting feedback from a group of trusted testers and using their experiences to really shape how Project Mariner evolves. Let me show you how it works. So Project Mariner works in the browser as an experimental Chrome extension. I'm going to start by entering a prompt. Here, I have a list of outdoor companies listed in Google Sheets, and I want to find their contact information. So I'll ask the agent to take this list of companies, then find their websites and look up a contact email I can use to reach them. This is a simplified example of a tedious multi-step task that someone could encounter at work. Now, the agent has read the Google Sheet and knows the company names. It then starts by searching Google for benchmark climbing. And now it's going to click into the website. You can see how this research prototype only works in your active tab. It doesn't work in the background. Once it finds the email address, it remembers it and moves on to the next company. At any point in this process, you can stop the agent or hit pause. What's cool is that you can actually see the agent's reasoning in the user interface so that you can better understand what it is doing. And it will do the same thing for the next two companies, navigating your browser, clicking links, scrolling, and recording information as it goes. You're seeing an early stage research prototype, so we've sped this up for demo purposes. We're working with trusted testers to make it faster and smoother, and it's so important to keep a human in the loop. After the fourth website, the agent has completed its task, listing out the email addresses for me to use. And there you have it. We're really just scratching the surface of what's possible when you bring agentic AI to computers, and we're really excited to see where this goes next.
So that's also a pretty cool case, right? We are using, like I mentioned in the beginning, the LLM model that you use behind the scenes here is Gemini 2.0. It's released. It just came before Christmas, and I was on Christmas vacation, but I think you and I texted a bit, and it's like, yeah, I need to try this. So we have built a couple of small demos based on it, but it's working extremely well for example, budget pacing for large budgets with multiple countries. So we can go in, check cost of sale on each market, continuously evaluate that, and then give clear recommendations, potentially post them in a Slack channel where you actually, okay, cost of sale is low, we should push more, for example. Typical things that you don't see straight if you just look in Google Ads, for example, when you need to have more context where you are. And something that maybe you don't have time to do if you have a lot of markets. So this is a really interesting thing, and computer use will be coming a lot in the future. So this is how we work with the clients that we help when it comes to developing generative AI programs. So I think it's very important to understand sort of where you are on this ladder. And I would say the first step is sort of the step where everybody is. That's the sort of the no control step. You use a free version of Gemini or GPT. That means that the data you use can be training future models. So then you're actually, potentially you can lose important company information if you're at this stage. If you step up to the next stage, then you have at least control. Then you have paid licenses. You have control of what data is actually used for potential training. So that level is at least the one that everyone should be at. The level after that is that you actually build AI agents for specific tasks. So let's say that you want to have an agent that is really good understanding your logic for pacing a complex media mix or budget. Then you can train one for that. So everyone has access to that agent, for example. Then that can help teams and people, but you can also look into integrate that into a process. So it's actually helping out continuously. And then the final step is if you have something that needs to be done every day, a lot of things and a lot of work, then maybe you should integrate that completely into software stack that you have. So that is the final step. And it's not, you don't need to be on the 5th step for everything, but you should at least be aware sort of where you need to be. So define the use case and the problem and how you work with them. So that's how we work with companies and defining where they are and where they need to be on. So which model is the best? Well, they are pretty good, all of them, right? Of course, that's depending on, do you have a problem that occurs 1,000 times every day? You need like no latency, you need to be super fast, and it needs to be very cost efficient. Then, of course, you need to think, what's the quality I need? What's the speed I need? And what's the price I'm willing to pay? Because running with all models, you need to pick the one that is best for your problem. So these are things that are important to evaluate when you decide on what you're building.
So which one is your favorite?
My favorite right now is probably, I think it's very interesting with the Claude 3.5 Sonnet with the coding. That's the one that me and Otto is using for developing the Pokemon game. And of course, I like O1 Preview from OpenAI. And they will soon release the O3. And they will actually skip the name O2 because O3 is so great, so they just skip one. So O3 is coming soon. But this is how you should think about it. I mean, look at your company, look at your org chart, and then think like, what are the problems that we actually have that occurs often? And like I said, the layer with the AI is, well, how much do we invest in the teams we have here? Okay, if 10% of that would be invested in AI, what problems should we solve with that? So this layer down here is the AI agent layer that you should consider what is worth actually working on here. And I don't think just providing everyone with a standard version of GPT from a paid version, I mean, that's going to help for some things, but many times these teams will run into problems quite fast where they need a more specific agent for it. So what does success look like? Of course, you get these slides afterwards, so you can look more into details, but these are some of the things that when we build agents, we try to aim to solve these problems. And it's like with creatives, right? If you draw an image and you ask 10 people, is it a good looking image or not? You will probably get 10 answers. So being sophisticated in how you do evals and how you evaluate these models, because they are stochastic. So that means that if you ask different questions, you will get slightly different answers. So you need to have a good way of actually evaluating, well, will this help us be more productive, for example? So those are problems that more and more people will have in the future, the more AI agents you will work with. Yeah, this is an example that we have done for Scania. We did a big workshop with pretty much the whole team. That was about first getting like inspirational insights on how to use it. We worked together with the whole team to create a lot of different use cases. And when the use cases are clear, it's also easy to see, should this be solved with AI or not? Some cases should not be solved with AI. So then you can sort of lead them. But doing these kind of workshops really helps to bring up the most important things. And that's a good foundation to define what is actually worth spending time developing these agents for. And right now, we have our most basic version of building agents. The cost for that is 26,000, and the more advanced ones cost from 65,000. And it's of course depending on what license levels you need. And the more bigger programs, then we do more of the sort of what you saw earlier, bigger workshops where we help companies define what they should work on, where should they be in the steps on this generative AI journey, and what they should work on. So then for the final 10 minutes, let's move over to measurement and evaluating media mix. So we were the first agency in Europe that actually got access to this development project. This comes from Google. It's a multi-mix media model. Meridian is the name of it. And I work together with Google's office in New York, where we are using this one and testing it right now on a couple of our clients to be more sophisticated in understanding the media mix and what channels you should use and how you should optimize it. So the big question is like, how do we drive incremental increase in revenue? And of course, that can be a very hard question if you have 3, 4, 5 channels. It's not always easy. So the way we typically approach this is that we first do a big correlation analysis of the whole media mix. So we really understand what are the key drivers in this one. Then we use Meridian, where we go in and make a detailed model of the data that the client has. So we can understand how the different platforms look like in point of diminishing returns, which one should be more or less spend in, for example. And I think this is something you will also see a lot more this year, and understanding how you use the channels. Because like Johan said, with Meta, for example, it's not only that you need to use TikTok and Meta and the channels optimal and use the latest campaigns. You also need to be smart, like high level, how you actually allocating how much of the budget should be spent on this channel to drive, for example, profitability or incremental increase in profitability, for example. So that's how we use it here. And then Johan, I think we have a little waiting list.
Basically, it's our third time we do our golf event. So this year, again, we're gonna have it at Brohof. So far, hopefully this year as well, it's been very sunny and good weather and quite fun. But yeah, we have an event at the Brohof. It's gonna be like a breakfast seminar with what we basically the latest trends for basically all platforms, similar to today, but a little bit more up to date when it's coming, because it's in May. And then we're gonna have like a nice lunch and a little bit of after work at the restaurant, which I think now is also owned by Pontus Fischhoff, which is a good restaurant here. So it should be a fun event. So if you're a golfer, recommend you sign up, and hopefully see you there in May. And so yeah, that's it's been so fun, like the last few years when we've done it, and been good competitive spirits as well. So it's yeah, if you're a golfer, recommend you sign up for it as well. You also get an invitation a bit later this year. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining in.